Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I created 3 more eye looks using the new Bloodlust palette. As always, I get super close to the camera. I'm going to show you guys how to do all of these eye looks step by step. So I'll show you guys the 3 that I did. I will leave timestamps below if you want to just see a certain look. It will be pinned as a comment and it will also be in the description bar. So yeah, so that is pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so my eyes are already primed with the P. Louise base. I go in with the shade Rumor. That one is the one that like matches my skin tone the best, and it's like a little bit lighter, so it kind of makes some of the colors pop. But I always go in with like a flat shader brush like this, or maybe even a fluffy one, and I always make sure it's really worked into the eye. And I make sure I really pat that on, and I don't go in with a lot. I go in with just enough just to kind of cover the eye and kind of create a base. And it's really good because sometimes here I have like eyebrow hairs, and it really helps to cover that. So okay, you guys, I'm gonna go in with High King. I'm grabbing my Sigma taper blending brush in E35, and I'm gonna go in with just a little bit. See how lightly I'm going into the shadow, like very lightly. Also notice how I'm holding my brush. I'm always holding my brush like this. I never want to hold my brush like this and like go into the eye like that, because it's just going to not blend nicely. It's better for you to build it up. So you always want to hold your brushes like this. I used to go in very harsh, and that would just create patchiness and it wouldn't blend nicely. So now I go in like this, really gently. Okay, so I'm placing High King right here. This is my crease, and I'm gonna go a little bit above as well. So we're gonna start out here, and then we're gonna bring it in small circular motions. All right, so I'm slowly building that up. Notice how it's going on really nicely. And I'm gonna dip back into the shade whenever I wanna build up the shadow. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the way I'm holding my brush against my eye is I'm lightly like touching it against my eye like this, almost like barely touching it. And when I go back and forth, I'm going in small circular motions and going back and forth windshield wiper motions. And like I said, I always rather go back into the palette and build up the shade rather than go in with a lot. Okay, so on my eyes, you guys can see I did bring it up pretty high up. It's almost close to my brow bone. That's typically what I do. I do have hooded eyelids, so if I look straight, usually my brow bone tends to kind of touch the lid. You guys can see right there. So I do have pretty hooded eyelids, so that is why I do bring up my shadows pretty high up, so that you could kind of see a gradient going on. If I were to go lower, if I were to go lower and then cut the crease, you would not be able to see these shadows that I applied. So I do go pretty high up. Obviously, if you don't have hooded eyes like me, you don't have to go this high up with your makeup at all. It's just what I like to do for personal preference. So now I'm gonna go in with another shade from the palette. I'm picking up my Morphe M507 brush, and I'm gonna go in with Royal Pain. Going to go in with a little bit, just a light dust, and then if I have to keep going into the palette, I will. Alright guys, so see, I'm just like nicely applying Royal Pain, like almost like barely touching the eye, just kind of like bringing it out, nicely diffusing it. So you can definitely see that there's like a bit of a gradient between the two. Alright you guys, so that is what it should look like. So I'm happy with how the blend is looking like. Now I want to go in with the shimmers because I'm just like very excited to do that. Okay, now I'm going to go in with Beauty Sleep. It's the shade right here. It's got like a pinky, almost like a gold shift to it. It's kind of hard to see, I feel like I really recommend, since it's such a light shade, to wet this shadow before, and it's gonna come on a lot more intense. Alright, so I went ahead and wet my brush. I just used water. If you want to use Fix Plus, if you want to use setting spray, if you want to use water, if you want to use your spit, I don't care. It doesn't matter what you use. Just, I really recommend going in with a wet brush. Okay you guys, so this is the shade Sleeping Beauty Dry, and this is the shade Wet, and I just feel like there's like a bit of a difference when you do go in with the wet shade. You can see it just like looks a lot more metallic going in with a wet brush. And what I'm going to do is kind of pat this down, so you guys can see it comes on very intense. And yeah, I'm just going to pat that down and slowly apply it. So I am applying it like the same way I would if I were to go in with concealer, almost like cutting the crease. So yeah, notice how I'm like going right above here, and I am going above, like, I call this my like big wrinkle. I'm going a little bit above the big wrinkle so that when I look straight, you can still see the shadow. And the brush that I'm using is a Morphe and Jaclyn Hill brush in JH41. Any flat shader brush is going to work for you. If it is wet, I am working pretty slowly with this shade, even though it looks like I'm working with it faster, because I do like to put my videos like in faster motion. I am actually really taking my time. We're going to stop halfway, like up to here, by the way. Let me close my eye and just really make sure this looks nicely blended. I'm sort of just patting that down. Okay, you guys, so as my last step, I'm just going to make sure everything looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go with the brush and just lightly kind of tap this down and just make sure that kind of looks like my half eclipse, half moon shape. Alright, so I'm gonna pick up Betrayal, which is the shimmery darker pink shade right here. Let's swatch it, and this is what it looks like. So I feel like this shade as well is a shade that is gonna go on really, really nicely once it's wet. So I'm gonna go in with my brush and then wet it with just water. Okay, this is what it looks like on the brush. Let's go ahead and now add that onto the eye. And we're placing that right next to Sleeping Beauty. And as you guys can see, I'm like slowly placing that on. And I'm gonna go sideways just to kind of make the two shadows blend together. And I'm gonna bring it up all the way right here and then bring it down. Alright you guys, so I'm gonna go in with Betrayal on this eye, and I'm going to like slowly pack that down. And you can see it's like very intense on the eye, especially once you wet the brush. I'm gonna go in right here, and you see I'm like kind of carving it in, similar to what I did with Sleeping Beauty. I'm gonna bring that down, and I'm gonna use actually a different brush to blend these two shades together. Alright you guys, so I'm gonna go in with this brush. This is a eye shading brush from Sigma in E55, and now I'm going to kind of blend these two shadows together, and I have a little bit of Sleeping Beauty on the brush, and right here where Betrayal and Sleeping Beauty meet, I'm going to blend the two shades together. I'm gonna go back and forth. This would also probably work well if you want to go in with your finger. So yeah, so I'm just going to blend the two shadows together. Okay you guys, this is what the eye is looking like. I'm gonna go in with a shade right into my lower lash line and pretty much finish it up. Okay you guys, I'm gonna go in with Blood Queen, and I'm picking up this brush. This is a JH43 from the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill set. And I'm mainly gonna put it in the lower lash line, but towards the end. Alright you guys, I'm gonna go in with Wet Jewel, and I'm actually gonna wet my brush. I feel like this is a very topper shade. Okay, I'm adding Wet Jewel right into my inner corner and then right in here. Alright you guys, last but not least, you guys know how I am. I'm gonna go in with Wet Jewel. I'm not gonna wet it. I'm just going to apply a little bit into my brow bone right here. I don't know why I like always have to go in with another shadow. I can never let the look just be. I'm finishing up the look with the Fenty Beauty mascara, and that is it. I don't really feel like going in with false lashes just because there's so much shimmer right now on the eye, and when I go in with false lashes, sometimes I feel like it distracts from that shimmer. So I don't know, I've just been really into a mascara lately. Okay you guys, so I'm standing right in front of my window where there's a ton of sunlight, and I want you guys to see how beautiful Sleeping Beauty is because it does have that light little bit of gold to it. It's like a light pinky gold shadow, so I feel like with my studio lights you just can't see how good it looks like in the daylight. Okay, so I'm ready to jump to my next look. So my eyes are stained a little bit pink from my previous look. It's gonna stain a little bit. That's very common when you use pink shades. I went in with the P. Louise base, and then I like to go in with a fluffy brush, just some type of brush in which I can really work in the primer. So just want to make sure everything looks really, really good before I go in with my next shadows. Alright, so I'm gonna go in with Bleeding Heart. I'm picking up my Sigma blending brush in E25. And I'm going to go in slowly with just a little bit and then keep building it up. Alright you guys, so I'm gonna add Bleeding Heart into my crease right here. And my upper crease as well. So, oh my god, that is very pigmented. So yeah, just go in with a little bit and work it in. Alright you guys, so this is what it should look like. So I have the brush like this with the red on it, and I'm going to flip it into the cleaner side. And I'm just going to gently kind of blend out the edges right out here. But I'm going to go in with another shade from the palette right after this. Kind of just blend it out even more. So yeah, so I'm just gently blending out the edges. And I'm like almost barely touching the eye when I do this. I'm just gently doing the edges just so it looks nicely diffused. Okay guys, I'm ready to go in with another shade. This is what it should look like so far. I'm picking up the palette again and I'm going to go in with Monarchy. This is my JH40 brush from the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill set, and I'm going to pop into Monarchy and tap off a little bit. I'm adding Monarchy right above Bleeding Heart, right up here with a smaller brush, like a tapered blending brush. And this is going to allow me to like precisely control where I'm applying the shade. That's why I'm going in with a smaller brush like this. I'm just applying that with Bleeding Heart. So now I'm going to go in with a shimmer shade from the palette. Okay you guys, I'm going to cut the crease at least like halfway, and I'm going to go in with the P. Louise base and Rumor. I'll show you guys the brush I use. So I really like this brush. This is a concealer brush from Sigma and F70, and I always use this to cut my crease. I just think the shape of it is really good. Now before I go in, I always take off a little bit on my hand. And that just helps kind of like flatten it before I go ahead and apply it to my eyes. I usually like to bring the concealer pretty high up just because I do have hooded eyelids, but I'm going to stop like halfway so that you could really still see that red. Okay, so you should still be able to see the concealer even when you're looking straight, so that means I probably have to go up a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm using this pencil brush. This one right here is a JH39 from the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill set. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this small pencil brush to really get into these areas right here that I'm not able to get in with my finger. I think the best way to apply Sworn Enemy is really just with your finger, just dry like that. I think this applies the nicest way. Alright you guys, so I'm going to leave it like that. I'll go ahead and do the other eye and then we'll finish it up. I'm going to jump right back into Bleeding Heart with that same exact blending brush. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more into my outer corner right here, kind of like where the shade Sworn Enemy stops, but I don't want it to like stop like so abruptly like that. Like I want it to nicely blend together. So I'm just gonna go back in with Bleeding Heart, and you guys can see I'm kind of going sideways like this. And that's sort of how I'm applying it. So I'm applying a little bit of Bleeding Heart right into the shade called Sworn Enemy, but not too much. Just in the outer end right there. So I just wanted to kind of just blend nicely together. And I'm going to dip back into the palette and sort of build up that red right here. And what I'm gonna do out here is just sort of bring it out a little bit and just diffuse it out. Okay, so picking up my pencil brush, I'm gonna go back into the shade called Sworn Enemy, and now we're going to add that into the inner corner. Okay, you guys, I'm picking up a really small, tiny brush. This is a Morphe M170-4 brush, and I'm adding that into the lower lash line. Okay, you guys, so this is what it looks like with just mascara on. I do want to go in with false lashes. Okay, you guys, and this look is going to be really easy and quick because I'm only going to go in with like 2 shades. So we're going to pat that down, and notice I'm going in very slowly. I'm sort of just building up the shade, and I'm going to keep dipping back into the palette over and over and building it up. And although this is going to be in fast motion, I'm actually really taking my time and building up the shade. Alright, so when I get into this area right here, I'm gonna flip the brush and use the clean side to kind of blend it out. And I'm gonna go super gently because this is such a pigmented and intense shade. Alright guys, so I'm going to keep bringing that all the way to here, and when I get to the end right here, I'm gonna start blowing it out. Now I want to leave a lot of space right here on my brow bone because I'm going to go in with a shimmery shade. I don't know, just wanted to do something really fun. So when I get out here, I'm going to start blowing it out and blending it right here. I'm going to pick up this e.l.f. crease brush and just use this to kind of bring out the shade a little bit. The one thing I wanted to do is that here I feel like it's a little too harsh just because it's such a dark teal shade that starts out here in the inner corner. It's going to dip into the palette. So I'm going to pick up a blending brush like this, and this is the shade here called Your Majesty, and it's like a white. I'm going to tap off a little bit and then apply that into the inner corner. Alright, I'm just applying it right here into the inner corner just to kind of soften it a bit, just because I felt like it was like really dark right here, and I just wanted to soften it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with that light shade, which is called Your Majesty, and it is a cool toned white. Alright, so I'm just adding that in there, and I think I'm gonna bring it out all the way out as well, just to kind of lighten it up and diffuse it. Okay, you guys, so I just want to brighten up everything, so I'm just gonna go in with Your Majesty, but I'm going in with a really little bit. Like, I made sure I really tapped it off because it is kind of a powdery shade, so you don't want to go in with a lot because you could really mess up what you already did. Okay, you guys, so this is what it should look like. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the palette, and I'm going to add a shade right in here into the... Okay, you guys, so I think I'm gonna go into the palette and go in with a lot of Pink Magic and just a little bit of Betrayal, and then add that into my brow bone. Alright, you guys, so I have that on my brush, and I'm just going to add that into the brow bone. So this is a mix of Betrayal as well as Pink Magic. So I don't know, I just think it looks kind of cool just adding a pink shade right there into the brow bone. I'm gonna go in with a lot more of Pink Magic now and just add that in, and then I'm going to bring in a little bit of Pink Magic underneath here. You guys, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of Wet Jewel, and I'm just going to put Wet Jewel right on top of here, and Wet Jewel just really helps everything come together. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye where I do Pink Magic, and then I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Betrayal right up here into the brow bone. Alright, you guys, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of Your Majesty. There's already a little bit of Your Majesty already on my brow bone. So yeah, so I'm adding like a whole bunch of different shades on here. But I don't know, I think it looks cool. It's just like, kind of looks very mermaid. Okay, so I'm dipping a little bit of Your Majesty in here just to make it kind of blend all nicely together. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do Pink Magic, Betrayal, and then Wet Jewel. And there you have it. And then I'm going to add a little bit underneath here. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other eye, and I like how that looks. I feel like it's almost creating like a purpley cool shade. I'm just gonna bring that out like that, and this is what it should start to look like. So now I'm gonna go in because I want to add some of that stuff into the lower lash line. Okay, guys, so I'm picking up my eyeliner. This is from Ofra Cosmetics, and it's actually a lip liner and an eyeliner, which is kind of cool. So this is from Ofra Cosmetics. It's in the shade Turquoise. They actually gifted this to me. I've actually never tried anything from this brand, but I've heard really, really good things about their highlighters. So I'm just going to add that in here into the waterline, and I am gonna go a little bit lower underneath as well. All right, guys, so I'm just adding that there. So it's pretty easy to apply. I actually kind of like this liner. Okay, you guys, so to finish the look up, I'm going to dip my pencil brush into Pink Magic and just apply that into my inner corner right here. Okay, you guys, this is the finished look. I think I'm just gonna go in with mascara, but I feel like this look would look super cool with lashes. But yeah, what you wanna do is go in with lashes that have like a really, really thin band because you don't want them to show at all. So I'm just going with my Fenty Beauty mascara, and that is pretty much it. Okay, everyone, that is pretty much it. Let me know in the comments below which look was your favorite, look 1, look 2, or look 3, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, everyone.